Hello humans! This is a 3D printed Deadpool bust, originally printed in a black shiny plastic by my brother-in-law over in Perth. Much appreciated, and it's got a lot of great detail. Very impressed with this one. I'm going to start by giving it a flat grey primer so my other paints can stick to it. Love the detail in this bust. A lot of intricate little nooks and crannies and fine details, and it should paint up a treat. So let's give it a go, shall we? Firstly, I'm going to use an acrylic paint called Scarlet Lake. It's just a nice cheap Aldi paint. Secondly, a Mars Black by the same brand. Another cheap acrylic paint, a metal grey flat finish, and a silver finish, and a Tamiya brown, and finally some white for the whites of his eyes. After giving certain parts of the bust just a flat black spray by Fiddly Bits, I'm now going in over the top of other areas with the Scarlet Lake. It's a nice bright red, and it's going to require a couple of different coats to get the strength that I need, because it's the undercoat's still coming through quite obviously, so it's going to require a few coats, but in the end it's going to work out just fine. I haven't spent a fortune. It's okay to have obvious brush strokes in your finish, because each subsequent coat diminishes that, and obviously the colour is strengthened on each coat as well. I think all in all I probably put about 3 coats to get the finish I was liking. Using the Tamiya brown to paint his shoulder harness, his leather patches, satchels or bags, whatever the hell you call them. It's going to give it a nice contrast to the red details, trying to get that leather look. Handles to his swords, or katanas, I think they're called, and giving it the same brown. Now I'm using the Mars Black to carefully fine-tune the black details, and then the flat grey or steel colour, I think it was called, as a base coat for the metal parts, buckles and other details. Just be an undercoat for a silver finish. And the same flat grey for the base, which will also be weathered down the track as well. Top coat of silver on the buckles and other metallic parts to his costume. These are cheap paints, so it's good to put like a primer coating first, the base coat and then use the colours that I want on the top. And now for the eyes, I'm just using the white acrylic as careful as I can. Never was good at painting the eyes, but they still turned out all right. That gives a lovely contrast against the mask. Really brings out his personality. Once the paint is dried, I'm going to seal it with a flat, clear sealer just to protect it against the shoe polish treatment. And now for the weathering, I'm using the tried and trusted shoe polish, and I'm just trying to apply it in local areas because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself before I want to remove any excess. So I'm just brushing it on, trying not to apply too much, but just enough to get the desired change in the look that I want. Whilst it's still wet, I'll be using a cotton rag just to remove the excess in a dabbing motion. This creates a texture that kind of emulates or simulates a leather look, a distressed leather look. So I'm just doing one little section at a time, and the end result is quite nice. It's still leaving the black shoe polish in the recesses and creases of the costume. Harness is getting the same treatment. Just really brings out those lovely details on the pouches as well as even on the handles. Just makes them pop. Now the shoe polish is dried, so now I'm going back in with a baby white, just trying to catch all those highlights, those raised edges, to really make them stand out against the darkness of the shoe polish, and it just gives the sculpt a nice three-dimensional effect, much more so than it would otherwise. It really just makes everything really come alive. Now I'm using a burnt umber to mix up some tan colours, so I'm also going to mix in some white with it, just to lighten it up. And some yellow, cadmium yellow in this case, just to give it a bit more of a tanny look. This colour I'm mixing up so I can just do a dry brush effect on the leather pouches and the leather straps on his harness. Just going lightly with barely any paint on the brush, just trying to catch all those corners and edges and raised parts to the sculpt, just to give it a bit more of a weathered, worn look. And with the flat steel grey that I used previously, I'm using a dry brush effect on the creases in the black areas of his costume, just to bring out the sculpt in those areas as well. The brush has barely any paint on it, hence the dry brush approach. So there you have it, humans. This is my painted attempt on a 3D printed bust of Deadpool. I've got to say, I'm really impressed with the quality of this print. It's a wonderful piece and I had a lot of fun doing it. So thanks again to my brother-in-law in Perth for supplying me with this. And so this has been Retro Rocket Man. Hope you enjoyed it. Humans, over and out.